So, I'm going to do my reaction to the women's college volleyball bracketology, top scenes, bracket watch, and more. So, the women's college volleyball season is a stretch run, and there are weekly updates in the field of 64 with Charlie Cream, ESPN bracketologist. He's going to do field of 64. Top 8 seeds are seeded. Seed 9 through 16, they are not seeded. They do not have a seed next to their name. So we have, so let's go look at it. So there's 33 large teams, there's 31 AMAC bids. The Pac-12 is not a conference, but next 2026-27 academic year, it'll be back to a conference. There's a 2-year race period to get 8 members. They want to have 8 members for an FBS football playing conference, and so, and there's some conference sports that, like America East for volleyball, they have less members than like 8, so yeah. Anyways, we have Halloween weekend. It says top volleyball seeds, top 8 teams, each top 4 in each region serves first seminals. Rest brackets fill out to balance competitively in geography. And the highest ranking seeds also host regionals. So the top 2 seeds in the region. No. Because that would be 16. And then you go down to 4. So yeah, you have 16. Then you would be top 4. So it'd be top 4 seeds will host the first second round. Top seed remaining, top highest seed remaining, like the lowest seed number remaining in the bracket, will host the round of 16 and the round of 8, which is the regional semifinals or regional finals. You have Halloween weekend. Was a scare win for its previously in Texas. Yes, they had a pair of losses. They lost to. They were in the lead when the SEC, obviously a game ahead of Kentucky, but they lost to Texas in 5 sets and then suffered a sweep to Kentucky. That sweep against Kentucky really hurt because that would have given Kentucky. It would have given Texas a tiebreaker over Kentucky, and now Kentucky has 2 games at Texas because Kentucky was a meaning conference. And then Nebraska is number 1 spot in the country, and they haven't even lost a set since mid-September. Which, they're dominant, even dominant, sweeping every team out there, and they're still number 2 RPI ranking because they have 8 top 25 wins, the hardest schedule in Division 1. And there's 4 matches left in conference regular season play for Kentucky. And that puts Kentucky in a top seed line. So you have top seeds. Number 1 seeds, Nebraska, Kentucky, Texas, Pittsburgh. Number 2 seeds. In order, Stanford, which is number 5 overall team. And Texas A&M 6. Purdue is 7. Arizona State 8. It goes 9 through 12. Louisville, SMU, Scream, Minnesota, all 3 seeds, number 3 seeds. 4 seeds, 13 through 16. Indiana, Colorado, USC, BYU. 5 seeds, Miami, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Kansas. Number 6 seeds, Tennessee, Texas Christian, Iowa State, Baylor, and then 25 through 20. Penn State, Florida, Xavier, Utah, 29 to 32. Missouri, UCLA, Michigan, South Dakota State. So what do you think about the top 8 seed, top 32? Well, it's pretty fair. I like it. I definitely can see Purdue behind Minnesota, ahead of Minnesota. They are top seed in the country, top team in the country. Just behind Nebraska, pretty much. I mean, they dominant, in there. They beat some good teams. They've had some losses, but they reverse sweep Minnesota, top team. You can see Louisville, SMU, Pittsburgh is definitely a 1. Stanford, I can see definitely being a 2 seed. Louisville, I can definitely see being that 2-3, either or. I could see that. Same SMU, I could see being SMU's definitely a 3. Crane definitely a 3. Their Big East conference isn't as tough, but I can still see them being a top seed because they challenged themselves in non-conference and did well. Minnesota has a decent non-conference. I mean, they weren't the toughest non-conference, but they did challenge Texas A&M. They did challenge South Dakota State, which is a top team. So they have some really top. They have some top quality wins in the Big Ten, like beating Indiana, but they got 5 sets lost to. They've had some 5-set losses. Reverse sweep against Purdue, or a reverse sweep loss against Purdue. USC lost in 5 sets. But USC, USC took set 4 and set 5 win. 3 sets to 2. You have Wisconsin. Tough match. They play Wisconsin tonight. That's Eastern set local on FS1. 7 Central FS1. And they're in North Kansas, Miami had some tough losses. I mean, they're not bad, but they've had some loss or a head chicken loss. And North Kansas has had a really tough schedule. Really tough schedule, but Kansas is I mean, Kansas isn't a bad team, but they're just they have a tough, really tough part of it. Like a Big 12 is pretty tough. They have, you have Colorado, BYU, you have Texas Christian, Iowa State, Baylor. So you have some really top quality teams. Anyone can beat anyone, But yeah, you can see it. But still, Kansas really challenged themselves in that conference and played in that. So, but Kansas, I mean, and then you have Iowa State slipping in. I can see that because Iowa State has been some tough teams in the conference. They're really solid overall. They weren't ranked to start the year, but then they weren't ranked for a while. They were kind of like the Colorado, but then they were just outside, and then now they tracked it. Penn State, I'm surprised Penn State's still 7. The way Penn State's been. I mean, they've had some upset losses and some tough games. So I can see Penn State, Penn State has some good wins, but they also have some losses that I just kind of looking at it, it's a lot, enough to where it's they're not proving themselves like a top seed. They're just outside the bubble on 25 of 25, on the AP poll. They're 25. They're the second longest streak in the AP poll ever. In the ABC poll, the ABC poll was top 20 used to be, and there's less schools in the women's volleyball. It went to top 25 in NET when there's more schools in women's volleyball. Not for them, just for the top 25. And Xavier, we're gonna think, Xavier. Why would Xavier be in the top a 7 seed? Look at Xavier. Xavier only has 2 losses on the year. They're 22-2, which is really dominant in the country. I mean, yes, the Big East is not the best conference in the world, but I mean, still Xavier is still dominated in non-conference. They dominated really well in non-conference. In conference play, they've dominated. So let's try there. UTEP. I mean, it's not perfect in conference play, but they've had a really good tough schedule. Good top schedule though. They played well in non-conference. Played well in conference play, so you have a few losses, but still really solid team. Same with South Dakota State. They challenge top teams like Minnesota. They're always one of those South Dakota State in their sports. They're not afraid to challenge top teams. And then you have the rest of in alphabetical order 9 through 16, which is geographical matchups. Closest proximity. You're gonna go to an area with the closest proximity to you. So you have American, Auburn, Ball State, Campbell. American's the Patriot League, Ball State the MAC, Campbell the CAA leader, Coppin State MEAC leader, Cornell Ivy League leader, Dayton and 10, East Tennessee State, which is SoCon leader, Fairfield, Medtronic Athletic Conference leader, Georgia Tech, AC at large, only Big 10 at large, Jacksonville ASUN leader, James Madison Subbelt leader, Penn State Big 12 at large, on NEC Marquette Big East at large, UMBC America East at large, or all-MAC qualifier, Michigan State Big 10, not MAC, or at large, Ward State OVC, and then Northern Arizona Big Sky, Northern Iowa Missouri Valley Conference MAC qualifier, Northern Kentucky Horizon League MAC qualifier, Ruben SWAC qualifier, Rice American qualifier, West Coast Conference San Diego, South Florida American MAC, or top qualifier, or at large. Team West WAC qualifier, UCF's Big West qualifier, Test State and West, Tech Valley, which is WAC, Stricky, which is conference USA at large, and Winthrop